All right, let's talk about something that can totally change how you create things. It's this idea called the prototyping mindset, and it's all built on a kind of weird truth. That first idea you have, the one that feels like a stroke of genius, it's almost never your best one. So let's dig into why that is.
So, what's the big deal? Why is that first idea so dangerous? Well, it really just comes down to how our brains are wired. We get an idea, we get excited, and bam, we fall in love with it. Our ego gets all tangled up in it, and suddenly we're defending it, protecting it, before we've even stopped to ask, hey, is there maybe a better way to do this? It's a classic trap, and it just shuts down creativity before it even gets going.
Pretty much every project you start, you come to this fork in the road. On one side, you've got the first idea trap. This is where you commit way too early, you get that tunnel vision, and you risk pouring a ton of time and money into something that might be completely wrong. But then, there's the other path, the prototyping path. This is all about exploring widely, staying super flexible, and treating every single step as a chance to learn something new. It's a huge shift, right? It's not about defending your idea anymore, it's about discovering the best one.
Okay, so how do we actually stay on that path of learning? Well, it starts with principle number one, and it's super simple. You learn by doing. And the engine for this is something called the iterative loop. The whole point here isn't to be perfect right out of the gate. It's all about making progress.
This cycle is basically the heartbeat of the prototyping mindset. First, you build something. It doesn't have to be perfect, just a rough version, something real people can actually see and react to. Then you test it. You get it out there and see what they think. Next, you refine it based on what you just learned. And then, and this is absolutely the most important part, you repeat the whole thing. It's this loop that just gets smarter and smarter with every single turn. And this quote right here, it just nails the whole mindset shift. A prototype isn't this precious miniature version of your final product. Nope, it's a learning tool. Its whole reason for existing is to give you insights that make the next version even better. That's how you end up with something that's really smart and focused on what people actually need. So this whole cycle, this process, it actually has a name. It's called the iterative process. And it's a way of working that doesn't just put up with change, it actually thrives on it. You stop being afraid of feedback that pokes holes in your idea because you realize that feedback is the very thing that's going to make it great. Okay, so if one prototype is a great learning tool, what happens when you have more than one? This brings us to our second principle, and this one really pushes back against our natural instinct to just focus on making one single idea perfect. So what's the magic number here? Well, it's 3. The recommendation is to aim for at least 3 totally distinct versions of your idea. Now, why 3? Because it forces you to get past your favorite, most obvious solution. It pushes you to explore some genuinely different approaches that, let's be honest, you probably would have missed otherwise. And look, the payoff for this extra effort up front is huge. For sure, it helps shatter that tunnel vision and just opens up a much wider range of possibilities. But I think the biggest change is what happens to your team's conversations. You stop arguing about whether one idea is good or bad. Instead, you start asking way better questions. Questions like, hey, what if we took the best part of prototype A and mixed it with that core function from prototype C? That is where real innovation starts to happen. All right, so you're learning by doing, and you're creating multiple versions. The final piece of this puzzle is making them stronger through feedback. Because here's the thing. Prototyping isn't a solo sport. Its real power gets unlocked when you bring other people into the mix. So who do you ask for this feedback? Well, first and foremost, your users. They're the ones who will tell you if you're actually solving a problem they have. Next up, your own teammates. They'll bring in different perspectives and can review your work. And hey, don't forget to talk to people in other departments. They can often spot issues you're totally blind to, and it helps build that buy-in you're definitely going to need down the road. And how do you actually get this feedback? Look, it doesn't have to be some big, complicated thing. It could be a formal user testing session, sure, or it could be as simple as grabbing a colleague for 5 minutes and saying, hey, what do you think of this? The only rule that really truly matters is this one. Share your work early and share it often. Get that feedback while making changes is still quick and cheap. So let's put it all together. We've got these 3 core principles. Learn by doing, create multiple options, and get constant feedback. When you combine them, they become more than just a process. They add up to a completely new way of thinking, the prototyping mindset. And this right here is the fundamental shift. You have to stop treating your early ideas like they're these precious, delicate objects that need to be polished and defended at all costs. Instead, you start seeing them for what they really are: cheap, fast, and incredibly powerful tools for learning. They're meant to be thrown away. Their whole job is to get you to a better idea faster.
So I'm going to leave you with a question to think about in your own work. What's one idea right now that you're holding on to, maybe a little too tightly? And what might you discover if you could just let it go, even for a little while, to explore 2 or 3 other possibilities? The answer to that question? It just might be your next big breakthrough. Thanks for joining me.